that's your notification to file.
Perfect. Makes sense to me.
That's the way.
So thanks to both of you guys. So like I said, as soon as I'm done with this case here in about a half an hour, I will put together the link, the lawyer information, and everything that we discussed. For me, it's a better safe than sorry. If they don't accept my claim, they don't accept my claim for whatever reason. So there is a claim form. I do have the link to that. Thank you for Michelle for sending that to me. So.
All right, I'm leaving that because Ham wants to go talk to you guys. That is the call that I sometimes join in, Junk Savvy, every morning. She's terrific and amazing. Her analysis, her level-headedness, her insights. Anyway, she was talking about MMTLP, which is NextBridge, this morning, and now that was on MMAT. The issue was, and I think she was confused, but I don't blame her. That I guess the court or the lawyers sent out documents to shareholders of MMAT saying if you're a creditor, you have until October or something to file. I'm not sure she really listened to me, but she talked to Big JR and another guy. I think she listened to them. But my experience is equity doesn't get anything. It's a class like the rest of the classes, but you get broken down into various claims, and I guess there's some discretion by the court, but bankruptcy court's set up for creditors, not for equity. And my memory of priority, I'm not an attorney, is it goes to the trades, as I call it, the short term, the bills, the people that did work for you, et cetera. It goes to your, your salaries and employees. Maybe taxes jumps in the front, I don't know. But then it goes to your secured creditors first, and it depends on the quality of their claim, if it's recorded or not. Then it goes to your next creditors. And a secured creditor could end up being an unsecured creditor, depending on the quality of their documents. And then the equity comes last. So to me, it's pretty hopeless by the time it gets down to equity. I've never heard of a situation other than through you guys on that one BBBY, but I never heard afterward whether it actually worked or not. All right, so I talked about that. I continue to be frightened about what's going on in the world. I think we're going to see an attempt by the deep state to get the United States into war before the election. Put Kamala Harris in as president for Joe Biden, and there'll be a lot of self-congratulatory press releases. Aren't we lucky to have Kamala, have whatever, instead of the hothead Trump as president. And I expect one of the things that's going to happen is the election's going to be delayed, or just not happen. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. The numbers came in a little confusingly. I think on the one hand, inflation's still hot. On the other hand, people don't have money to spend. So it's a little confusing. But what's clear to me is the Fed has pre-announced they're going to cut rates 200%, and maybe there's a big problem going on. I don't know what else to talk about. We can get Ham on here and see what he has to say. My heart goes out to everybody down in Florida and all the other states. What a massive wallop! What a massive wallop! I hope everyone's safe, and I hope their air conditioning comes on soon.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail.
Call ended.
Well, that's weird. He told me to get live, and now he's not available. That's all right. I can handle it. Let's go through some of your comments. Good morning, Zizu. Good morning, Zizu. Good morning, Narad. Hey, Peter. You're first in our hearts, but you're third this morning. But welcome. Hey, June. Hey, Scott. No. Hey, Jim. Hey, Adventures with Shogun Solo. Is that Shogun Solo? Deserves a big hug. Phil V. Horner. Just Mike, what's up? Hey, John. Hey, Peter. Why you got a Zidane, my first? Oh, is Zidane that football player that knocked people in their head? Hey, Frank. Yeah, it seems like pretty good news on GTII. Remember Richard Hoffman? Hey, Eddie. Hey, Barbara. Hey, Jeff. Yeah. What day will it be? The 29 days to go or 28 days to go? Better late than never. Will the real short have enough time to close their position? My opinion is yes, but I think Ham will tell you they're running a great risk. We'll make sure we ask him that. Located in Seattle. I've never been to Seattle. There was an interesting article. Let me see if it's here. While we wait for Ham. That's not it. That's not. Is it? That's not it. Is this it? Oh, I was going to give you some charts. This is a negative article, opinion piece on China. I'll skip that for now. We can always go back to it. Well, I don't know where I put the article. So let's just see if there's something else here that would interest you. Wow, 4 million people without power down where the mosquitoes and the heat is. Thousands of flights disrupted. That's pretty frightening. Yen is soaring. Fed's favorite inflation indicator, hottest since April. I don't much like, well, it's not that I don't like him. I just never used to like listening to him. But Peter Schiff is saying about the Fed cut. There's no doubt in his mind that we're going to have quantitative easing, probably at the latest by the first quarter of 2025. The Fed may even start after the election, depending on how bad things are. But the rate cuts were just the beginning. Powell and the guys at the Fed are saying, quote, well, the economy is great, everything is awesome, but we're cutting rates by 50 points anyway, which is a rare thing. He goes on to say that the Fed insists that inflation is under control, but it's still above 2%. Quoting him, Peter Schiff, the Fed is cutting rates, claiming a victory over inflation, when it should be obvious to anyone who understands inflation that it's about to go through the roof, inflation. We saw a big breakout inflation up to 9%. We have a pullback to 3%. And now we're finding support above what used to be resistance. We're going to have a real economic crisis in the United States that we should have had 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But we were able to succeed in kicking the can down the road. And that's going to come back to bite us because the collapse is going to be much worse because our economy is so much worse. This is Peter Schiff. We're screwed up now. The deficits are much bigger than they were back then. So it was an easier problem to solve 20 years ago. We have a huge bureaucratic monstrosity which needs to be dismantled. There's so much that the government does that it shouldn't even do at all, at least the federal government. These functions would be better performed at the state and local government, and so the federal government should just get out of the way. Even the things the federal government should do, it does very inefficiently. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of dumping on the federal government. Trump brags about the fact that he created Space Force. We didn't need Space Force. Well, you don't know what we need. Talking about crypto, I'm going to skip over that. Then Peter Schiff says Trump should get rid of the SEC. Not just get rid of SEC Chair Gary Gensler. Get rid of the entire Securities and Exchange Commission. We don't need it. We should just abolish it. Now I'm starting to like him. And we should abolish FINRA. I'm really starting to like Peter Schiff. Not only would that save a bunch of money, because we could fire all those bureaucrats and let them get real jobs, but it would help the country. It would help the capital markets. Things would be better, right? Investors would be better protected and better served without the government looking over the shoulders and without the government protecting the criminals. Anyway, that was Peter Schiff. I don't know if there's a new doom spending. I don't want to read any of those. Uh-oh. Wonder what he's saying. Pretty frightening. Oh, gosh. Martin Armstrong. There will be war in the Middle East. And many are looking at this as the end times. And that's from 3 different religions. The majority of Israelis of all faiths support a ground invasion of southern Lebanon. Hezbollah has been firing rockets for almost a year now. That sounds like Don Rickles' joke. It's not a laughing matter, though, here. And they have turned the majority of Israelis against them. Hezbollah has. The Lebanese government has included Hezbollah ministers, and they have surrendered. The government has surrendered the safety of their own people to Hezbollah, thereby endorsing war with Israel. The deep resentment which festers in the Middle East, Martin Armstrong does not see as ever being resolved. When that becomes a reality, then war is inevitable. Hezbollah has assumed that Iran would rush to join the party, but Putin has been warning Iran that the time is not right. Putin understands the game. He may be hoping Trump is elected to shut down World War III. However, the model, that's Martin Armstrong's computer model, it's called Socrates, concerning market activity suggests that things may not pan out as many have assumed. While October is a key near-term target, the major target will be March, April next year. For crisis is what he's talking about. I like this idea. I remember when credit cards, APR fees on credit cards had never been higher, reaching an average of 24.92% in September in the United States. Credit card interest rates have not been beneath 10% since the early 90s. Consumer debt has never been higher, and countless households have fallen into a snowball situation where they simply accumulate more debt in a failed attempt to pay off the old. Donald Trump, that misogynist, that hothead, that racist, Donald Trump has offered the most extreme solution presented by a politician thus far. Donald Trump would cap credit card interest fees at 10%. God, what a racist thing to do. That's anti-women. That's anti-Semitic. What a hothead. What a white supremacist he is. Donald Trump would cap credit card interest fees at 10%. Bernie Sanders once proposed a 15% cap to the shock of many. Biden tried to implement an $8 cap on late fees, but he's from Delaware. He never got it through. Banks have continued rising their fees and interest rates as more households fall behind. Prior to the pandemic, Americans paid $120 billion annually in credit card interest fees. Remember, that money is created out of thin air by the banks. Anyway, $120 billion annually, amounting to $1,000 per household. In 2022, consumers were paying $105 billion in interest. Rates on credit cards have doubled in a mere decade, from 12.9% in 2019 to 22.8% in 2023. I guess folks was on the side of the banks. Folks. That was the tail end of his time, so maybe you blame it on Biden and Trump. I don't know. The Federal Reserve of Bank of New York released data in August of this year, indicating American credit card debt reached a new high of $1.14 trillion. The average American is carrying $6,000 in personal credit card debt. 46% of cardholders cannot pay off their monthly debt. Banks are naturally against this cap in interest rates. Those in a disagreement believe banks will be reluctant to lend. They create the money out of thin air and tighten their requirements. Martin Armstrong is saying to some extent that may not be a negative. I agree with him. Credit card debt is the worst debt in the world. Living within your means has completely changed under Bidenomics, and everyone is adjusting to the new cost of living. In the meantime, people do need to catch up and get back on their feet before the debt vortex sucks them into a hole that becomes impossible to climb out of. Consumers have been forced to pay for basic necessities on credit due to the astounding rise in prices for basics like energy, food, and rent. While working Americans catch up, we're going to put a temporary cap on credit card interest rates, Trump told a rally in New York. We can't let them make 25, 30%. Now Trump is proposing a temporary cap. We permit countless stimulus packages that never stimulate the economy and hand out funds recklessly to help those on hard times. Yet no one has proposed temporarily capping credit card fees to give consumers time to pay off their debts. What a racist. The banks are still profiting, albeit at a lesser rate. No one will profit if consumers default on their personal debts, and those debts are sent to collectors never to be paid. This solution, given by the anti-Semite, racist, white supremacist, anti-female Donald Trump, could give households adequate time to adjust their personal financial strategies. John F. Kennedy, mankind must put an end to war before war puts an end to mankind. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. That doesn't say that he's some sort of apologist or Chamberlainist. Just a smart man. I'm frightened by these wars. Frightened by these wars. Biden spent millions in U.S. taxpayer cash turning the world's deadliest smuggling route into safe passage. That's through Panama. But hey, Biden, Kamala, it's time to re-elect. It's a migrant superhighway. Remember, she went down to Guatemala and said, do not come, do not come. Well, anyway, we'll get what you guys want. We'll make sure. They're already showing, there's a shock poll showing that Kamala's ahead in Georgia. They're going to give us polls that justify their cheating later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're here.
You're what?
You're live.
Oh, welcome everybody. I had no idea.
Well, you told me to go live. I don't know.
Okay, I didn't know you were going like this. No big deal. I'm still in my pajamas.
How'd the elephant get in your pajamas?
Okay.
I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I don't know.
All right, let's go over the major news. David Tepper, money manager, all over. Google it. David Tepper, Tepper. Go all in on China. Go all in, he's saying. All things China. Well, Finger Motion does nothing but business in China, has the biggest partners in the world, including the Chinese government. And our quest was to find someone that knows David Tepper. And using my institutional connections, we are reaching out all over the street. Well, it turns out one of the holders in Finger Motion knows David Tepper, okay, and is reaching out to him right now. He knows him very well. All right, so we will get an at-bat with David Tepper. And I can't guarantee you he'll buy it, but he will get the pitch jammed down his throat shortly.
Good.
All right. So that is a 100% fact. And William, you know our contact, and he is making the call right now. He's a big player.
Awesome.
He's making the call now.
Awesome.
And he had no idea that David, because what do you need him for? He didn't even see the news, and Google the news, and he says, all right, I'm making the call. All right, I have some institutional guys chasing him down too. Guys at Cowan, the guys at World Capital, I have a couple of firms chasing who covers David Tepper. And we're going to go through both ways, all right? And we're going to get to this guy. And we're going to present all the stuff that is right here for you to see. Who are their partners? This $2.15 or 20 cent stock. Who are their partners? The Chinese government. The Pacific Life Re, Munich Re. Who are the other partners that they have? AIZ, the China Mobile, China Unicon. They do business with Alibaba. They do business with Tencent. Everybody. And we have one idiot from Madison Avenue that's smart enough to short it, and he shorted it so much you can't even cover. Think about that. That's how stupid this guy is. And listen, I don't care if the stock moves up, down, sideways, whatever. But again, this stock, the downside is up. And these guys have crapped themselves. You can see it. They tried the fake story. That didn't work. Now they're trying to cover on the fake story. That you can see. These are all facts. So if the SEC is listening, I'm just repeating what is right on the tape for everybody to see. These are my opinions. And as a stock market investor for a long time, these are pretty much everything's right out here. All right, so if you can't see it, it's right here. Just Google. Go look at the company's. Go look at their presentation. Go read the company's profile. Go watch the company's videos. They tell you who they do business with. All right. William said a couple of days ago, Google took them 10 years to get to a profit. This company, they said, is going to be profitable shortly. All right. This is the company saying it, not me. All right. But just look at their partnerships. Just to deal with the Chinese government. The Chinese government is giving this small company a deal to install technology in every emergency vehicle. William, there was a photo on Twitter of all the electric utility linemen lined up. I don't know, hundreds, 1,000 trucks, get ready to fix the power line.
Unbelievable.
They're all lined up to fix with the disasters. How many emergency vehicles do you think are running around Florida right now? Right?
That's a good point.
Thousands of them. Thousands of them. Imagine a country with 1.5 billion people. How many? Whatever we have, it's 5 times as
That's
big
a good
as
point. Yeah.
It's a fact. It's right there. All right? It's all right there. And you just have to think with a clear head. Hey, listen, let me just tell you about David Tepper yesterday. They said buy everything in China, and I was watching Fox Business, and I forget who came on, and the stocks they were buying because of this boom in China, they were telling people to buy Estee Lauder because the Chinese are going to make money and going to spend money on cosmetics. It's going to help Estee Lauder. It's also going to help Louis Vuitton. It's going to help that company that makes those goose coats from Canada. I think is the name of it. GOSS. is Canada Goose. They were saying buy that stock because the Chinese are going to make money and they're going to buy these coats. They're showing you retail stocks, U.S. retail stocks to buy, or Louis Vuitton, the French company, because they're going to buy luxury items because the Chinese are going to make money. But before they make money, the companies that are going to drive the economy have to make money first. So they're already down to the consumer. They're going to buy more Starbucks coffee. They're going to buy Nike shoes because China, they sell Nike shoes a lot in China. All right? That's how Wall Street thinks. But they bypass finger motion because the finger motion is cell phones, SMS text messaging, data. If everyone's going to start running around doing stuff, they need their cell phones, and finger motion gets the data. You can't get it even. It's right there for you. I mean, that's how you have to think. All right, Alibaba's taking off. What's the next one? Anyone want to go chase Alibaba? It was 94 to 108. Who wants to go chase that one? All right. So that's how Wall Street thinks. You got to be ahead of the curve, and you think of the next one. They're thinking about Estée Lauder and Goose and Louis Vuitton and some other crazy things that they were posting about. All right, but again, the companies have to make money first, and then it starts to go to the consumer. All right, but again, that's how Wall Street thinks. We will get this story to David Tepper, and hopefully we can get a good at bat with him. We'll get management to sit down with them. We'll try to get them in the door with them and let them tell the story. And all we need him to do is step in, put his toe in the water in this thing, and you'll get a $30 stock in a blink of an eye. And that's how hard we're working to get this stuff done. All right, but now let this guy go away. That's how Wall Street works. We came from Wall Street. We understand it. We don't short $2 stocks that have tremendous upside. That is complete fraud what these guys are doing. All right, stocks just don't act the way they do. This is complete nonsense trading, and the opportunity is to the upside. The trade on Wall Street is not to the short side anymore. It's to the upside because everyone knows the damage, what can happen. All right. Yesterday, I helped the guy buy DJT. He bought it at $13.90. I told you yesterday, and made him sell it into the run.
Mhm.
And he turned around and with the profit, he bought another 1,000 shares of Finger Motion, and he thanked me. All right. So he paid $214 for 1,000 shares of Finger Motion. He made $1,000 and I made $1 on DJT. So he owns Finger Motion now at $114. All right. Think about it. He bought 1,000 at $214, take away the $1 profit. And now he owns it at $114. That's how you can build massive positions in stocks, right? You learn how to trade, you make money, you can keep rolling around and get in stocks cheaper and cheaper. That's how you play the game. But any questions about the David Tepper stuff? It's all over the place. You can read it. I posted it 50 times. The guy is all in on China. Finger Motion does only business in China. That's where they do their business, China. So if we're expecting a boom in China, you got to expect Finger Motion, which the company said had some downturn because the economy was soft, but now the economy is turning around. So what do you do on Wall Street, William, when a company had a downturn, all of a sudden the economy is booming the other way? Wall Street does what? Do they get in before the company reports great numbers, or they wait for the company?
Depends on your mandate, I suppose, but I think
Right.
most advisors would get in before.
David Tepper is telling you get all in before the economy takes off. He's trying to get in before, and he made a big statement about that.
Well, you would think that the bazooka in China is much bigger than the Fed's bazooka here,
Right.
because China has all those reserves sitting there before they go into debt. We're pretty tapped out. So anyway, yeah, you would want to get in before the buying from their central bank or whoever it is.
Right. So again, listen, this is like tremendous timing opportunity. It's right there for you. You can see it. The upside is infinite. The downside is $2. The company's not going out of business as far as I can see. So I look at it, what's the downside? We're here. Where's the downside? They were nice enough to put it here. What's the downside? The downside is up. That's how I look at this trade. The downside is up. And DJT, any dips are a buy. You can buy the dips, sell the rips. You got to find the right price. I wouldn't chase it here at 1483. I would wait. I want to wait. I want to buy it when it's ready to turn. That's how I look at things. And just think of David Tepper trying to buy Finger Motion, and think about the short seller trying to cover 1.5 million. So you can have potentially huge money manager coming in here that has a big voice. We have 1.5 million of the real short trying to cover, and then we have the moron short, the 200 million plus of the naked short. That is again, I don't want to joke about the tsunami or water, because I know the people on the west coast of Florida are catching a bad there. I have many friends that live there, and I know that they're probably losing a lot of money on their homes and their property because of the flooding. But this is going to be some tidal wave over these idiots. All right, and that's how I look at it. Any questions about that?
There's a article you'll see later. China brings out the big guns. 4 trades which could benefit from China's bazooka moment. Chinese fintech. Well, that describes Finger Motion, the app, and all that.
Well, people are going to be buying. If people are making money, they're going to be buying new electric cars. They have to charge it. Finger Motion makes money from it. If they're using their phones, their app to go to dinner, to do anything, Finger Motion gets the data from it. Munich Re wants it. So I think Munich Re, Pacific Life, all that data that these guys have been compiling, I think that with the bazooka going on, they want to see how the Chinese consumer is operating, and the Finger Motion has access to it. And I'm sure Mr. Tepper is going to figure out that a company that can get into any kind of telecom business and see their data, no one else can, but Finger Motion can. I think he's going to find that pretty compelling, that this company can get in and say, good Lord, and the Chinese government's giving the contract? Boy, these guys got some serious connections into China. So that's how I think he's going to see it. That's how I see it. I see it no other way. The news is on the tape. I'm just reading what I see, and it's just just look at the deals. I can't stress it enough. Forget everything. Forget what I just told you. In 28 days, we're going down to Monday, 27, which is my lucky number. 27 was my football number, by the way, but that's how many days before the election. Donald Trump gets in, we get Pat Byrne. I got you. I don't know if he's going to win, blah, blah, blah. Listen, my belief is coming in, and we get Pat Byrne. If you're a Democrat and you want to vote the other way, you're on the wrong phone line. Get it off, not because I'm a Republican, it's because I want financial freedom. If you don't want financial freedom and want to work like a slave and pay your taxes every day without helping your family, your children, your grandkids, you're out of your bird. Pat Byrne will clean the clock to all these criminals. He's the only person to do it. I posted about Mark Cuban today, William, you probably didn't see it. Mark Cuban wants to become the head of the SEC if that moron gets in, right? He hates the shorts. He squeezes the shorts too. He did it in mama.com. It's not public anymore, MAMA.com. He squeezes from below $1 to 20-something dollars, right?
Right.
He sold his position because the company called him up and said they were going to do a secondary. They called him in confidence. He sold his stock, right?
Breaking the law.
He broke the law. The stock got crushed because all the investors, all of a sudden, people thought Mark Cuban was going to be behind this company. He sold it. The stock got crushed, and Mark Cuban was sanctioned by the SEC, and he fought it, saying it wasn't inside information, blah, 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 blah. But they told him first. Anyway, the stock got crushed, went to zero.
It's good to be rich.
Doesn't it sound just like Ryan Cohen did in Bed Bath & Beyond?
It's good to be king.
It's funny how that works. These guys are so smart, right? The only person who held on was Roy and Kitty. I think you should take it from the billionaires how to play the game.
Roaring Kitty's a genius. Stop
He's a
making
genius.
fun of him.
Yeah. He bought the stock, he held on, everybody else was selling.
And he's looking out for you. That's the thing you got to know about Roaring Kitty.
Right. Well, listen, I got to be
Cares
like
what
Mark
you
Cuban and Ryan Cohen, where these guys just, they bought it, sold it, see you later, and they're all rich, and no one cares.
do. Right.
That's how I got to play the game. Get in, make your money,
Yes.
let everybody else. Now everyone else is sitting here, fighting for you. I think they're out of their birds. But anyway, I told you what I feel in GameStop. You can buy the dips, sell all the pump ups by the retail investors until someone tells me who bought all those shares, 160 million of them. I have no faith in management. The management has sold you guys out, and the same thing happened in AMC. I think it's time for you guys to move on. I don't care how big the short is. The management is just going to keep, plugging the shorts, and that's how it goes. Go look for something else. Life is too short to sit here and fight the people that control the company. You're out of your mind. I spoke with Richard Hoffman yesterday. I think he's putting up some more videos. Please pay attention to what's going on. That GTI thing is going to get exciting once they clean house and get it up and running again. Remember, the naked short is still here, and there's tremendous opportunities for people that want to merge into GTII. We just have to wait for the courts and the receiver. The management is gone. Court receiver, someone that is representing the courts, is in control, and I think we'll all be okay once that all gets cleared up. But I don't know the timing of it, so just follow Richard Hoffman. He'll answer your questions. He'll answer you everything about legal things, and he talks about the cases. And I just don't have time to keep up on the legal stuff. I'm not an attorney, so if you want to follow someone who does, that's your guy. Once it starts trading, then I'll throw my hat back in the ring, and we'll finish off that naked short that's held at Alpine. All right, asking questions about Alpine. He said they spoke again, some brief or some nonsense. That thing still lives, that case with the government against Alpine. I don't know how, but they're dragging it out, probably trying to take their money out of every place they have and hide it. That's what I think they're doing. And then most of us think the same thing. Anyway, what else?
Well, will the real short have enough time to close their position?
Would the real short have enough time? Well, listen, everyone who questions the real short, make believe you're the real short. Okay? Why are you in this stock? That's number one. You're short at $2.50. Remember, each day you have to pay. I'm just rounding it at $2.50. I do think it's going lower. I think that every day the market opens up, they have to pay this fee. They have to pay the toll. So you have to sit down and say, as a position, why am I in this stock? What's the reason? Is it going to zero? Should be your number one reason. And you make everyone on this phone. Do you think the company's going to zero? It's either yes or no. You could say, well, you know what? I think it's going to go to zero in 3 years from now. So by the time 3 years comes along, the most you're going to make is probably 50 cents because you're going to have to pay the fees for 3 years. So at that point, you're going to say, well, that's not a good idea to be short the stock. I got to keep carrying this and lose opportunities to make money in different names using my cash to sit here to make 50 cents. It's not worth it at that point. That's how I look at it. So why is this short here? He's here because the naked short is telling him to be short. But at some point, they got to decouple. The naked short versus the real short. The real short is obviously tied to the naked short. He's going to say, hey, I got to get away from this thing. This thing is getting too hot. I don't need to be around it. You know what? You guys want to be short that 230 million. I did it as a favor. I'm a friend. I'm a relative. Whoever it is going to say, I got to get away from this thing, and I have to cover. That's what I see happening. They're not going to sit here and decide and discover and talk to you about it. They're going to try to sneak and cover. As you just saw, they just sneaked and covered 200,000 shares. And none of us saw it even happen because we watch it all day long. So basically, they're trying to get out of town, all right? It's like Biden getting out of Afghanistan, leaving all the shit. He didn't want anybody to know that he was leaving, right? It's the same thing. The short's trying to get out of town, and no one catch him. And I think you're going to slowly see this number go down, all right? I think they did a bunch of watching. I wouldn't be surprised if the number dropped another 200,000 shares on these fake wash trades we've been saying, all right? We're all watching the same thing. That's hardly trading. How are they going to cover? Well, at some point, they're going to have to say, hey, if this thing breaks 245, I'm out of here. I got to start covering. I wouldn't be surprised if they're out here trying to buy some stock. The only person that's selling it is the naked short. Even they are running out of gas. That's why they use the real short, everyone. The naked short brought in the real short because they needed to add some more weight, some more sellers to the stock. Well, that didn't work. I just spoke to a gentleman today from upstate New York by Syracuse, and he's been accumulating it, and he's now up to 200,000 shares. I mean, so you don't even realize the numbers that people have. You know, I thought he owned 20,000, he owns 200,000, and his whole network of friends is long on a lot of stock. So just by looking at a pocket of people that we don't even know, in upstate New York by Syracuse, they probably own 1 million shares of stock. That's just one little group out of nowhere, you know. Think about that. That's how powerful the accumulation has been in the stock. People are buying it, and they're super educated. He always calls me. I give him my time. He catches up. He goes back to his life. He understands about David Pepper now. We spoke about that. And you know what? He doesn't have to jump on the calls every day because he understands it. All right? And this is how the game is played. And the stronger and the time that these guys, everyone's put in their time here. And now it's time to reap the rewards. And I do think that the real short is going to fold shortly. And that's the bet. The real short will explode the naked. If David Tepper steps in, he blows them all up in 2 seconds. Boom, 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 boom. And I told you, we're not going to stop until we get in that bat with David Tepper. He wants to be in China, we're going to show him China. Now listen, there's plenty of stocks that are in China. We got it. We're going to bring his attention to a stock that the most he can lose is 2, the most he can make is infinite. That's how you start the pitch. What's my risk? What's my reward? Oh, this stock based on fundamentals is going to go from 2 to 8. No, that's not what we're selling you. I'm selling you a stock that can go from 2 to 2,000. How do you like that odds? He's going to say, tell me more. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to show you more. Here's the proof. Here's the data, which we compiled in your face for 5 years. There's 230 million shares naked short. How do you know they didn't cover? We watch the trade every day. It's impossible. Who's the real short? Tied to the naked short. Here's the fundamentals. You're going to look at it and say, well, Benchmark, which is a shitty scumbag firm, says it's worth north of 5. All right, so the low on this thing should be 5. Why is it trading at 2? Well, they're holding it down because they're trying to get people to panic. So your risk is the upside. You should be buying it because the guy's saying it's $5. Here's the report. Add in all the new things that's not even in the report. And I think that once you show a money manager that the company's A should be trading north of 5 minimum, the short is here. He can see it himself that he went from 1.7 to 1.2. He knows it. They're not stupid. They know they're covering. He's going to sit there saying what the short's trying to cover. How is he covering? We're going to say he can't. And boom, that's another. That's how when you pitch a hedge fund or big player, these are the things they want to hear. Would management speak to me? Because as long as management tell the stories, they can break down all the numbers for them. Management won't meet with somebody else to have a good story to tell, right? That's how it works. Correct, William?
That's right.
So let him finish the story off. I'll give him all the dirt behind the scenes on who the short is, how do we know it's him, all the little stories we heard, how a CEO goes in his office and the first thing he says to her is, I'm not shorting your stock. That's the wildest thing I ever heard. That's the first thing that a lender says to a CEO of a public company. I'm not shorting your stocks, not me. All right? Everybody knows on the street who he is. I'm sure David Tepper can find out in 2 seconds who Jeff Easton is in all his deals. And I'm sure David Tepper I can say, hey, what do you got, 20% for the year? No, Jeff Easton's up 220%. All he does is lend out money and he makes 220%. And every investment goes to zero. You have to fight and have the companies actually do stuff to win. This guy just lends money up and he's up 220%. You should be giving money to him. Once you see those numbers, they're fake, 220%, and what they're doing, then 100% he knows the naked short's here. That's how you can tell it's a naked short by the fraudulent activity in the percentages that they're up. Those numbers are ridiculous, being up 220%.
Fingers at 221.
Especially when you see stocks that they invested in. SYTA, we funded this company. It's at 95 cents. The 52-week high is 437. How many times did they reverse this thing? And it's going back. And it's funny, it's right back to the low again. No matter what they do, they go back to the low.
TLO is going to hit Fox Business this Sunday
Oh, really?
on Health Uncensored with Dr. Drew.
On TLO?
TLO's going to hit a new high.
Who knows that?
Travis is saying that.
I'm going to put that up. Fox News on Sunday on Doctor Who.
Travis says TLO is going to be featured on Fox Business this Sunday on Health Uncensored with Dr. Drew, 5:30 extraterrestrial time.
I'm sorry, I'm just posting it. On Fox News this Sunday, Health, Dr. Drew, 5:30 Eastern Time. I just enjoyed the show, Scumbag Shorts. All right.
Health Uncensored.
Yeah, that's cool.
Jeff,
That's
Neil,
fine. Tell that gentleman thank you. That was
that's Travis, Sam.
Travis, thank you. See, Travis, this is what a trading desk is about. I missed it. Now I alerted my friends that TLO is going to be on television on Friday. Obviously, they're going to tell exactly what is positive. They're not going to say, hey, our product doesn't work. We're killing the dogs. They're not saying that. It's going to be positive.
Yin, which I guess is opposite from Yang. Yin, YINN, the China Big Cap Bull ETF is nearing 100% move since September 10th, according to Kit.
Thank you. There you go. There's many different things I don't follow. And that's a good one. There you go. Listen, whatever finger motion is in, they have their fingers in, obviously, their fingers in a lot of different things. And the funniest thing tells me, the greatest thing about finger motion to me was that it was a telecom top-up business. Then it went to text messaging, right? Then they went to big data. And all of a sudden, they have a deal where they're doing top-ups on an app on everyone's, for their electric cars. And they get a percentage of what you charge, what it costs to charge your car. In the U.S., my friends own some Teslas, and they say it costs them about $15 to charge up their cars. Well, most Chinese live in apartment buildings, so they all have to go to these stations to charge up their cars. They don't have their homes. And that was a business, had nothing to do with telecom. All of a sudden, they're in that business. The next thing they're doing is they're putting technology in every emergency vehicle in China. Not in Maine, not in one state, all of China. They got this deal done. I mean, that's completely different from what they're doing before. So they keep going into different areas. How are they getting all these tremendous contracts? Well, the shorts don't believe it because they just keep selling. But as an investor, I look at it saying, I got to scratch my head saying, how are these guys getting these contracts? And they posted, it's all filed with the SEC. Yet the only thing that would make the stock go lower But they had a problem in the stock when they raised capital and the partners came into the picture. That's when the shit hit the fan, and the stock has been acting weird ever since. The days before they even did the deal was acting shitty. They were driving it down from 4, killing it below 2. I remember way back then, trying to drive it below 1. And that's when Lynn Partners came up. Nothing was going on until Lynn Partners showed up. Then to get rid of Lynn Partners, the company had to jump through hoops to get rid of them. I told you my friend paid $10 for the stock. Not 2, 10. He's the one that knows David Tepper, by the way. So if you think he's going to get it done, I think I'll go with him. So again, he paid 10. Lynn Partners, to give him the money back, Lynn Partners didn't even want the money. We don't want the money. We're paying you back interest and your money. Oh, we don't want it back. Who does that? Just call the credit card company up. We want to pay you back. I want to pay you all the money I owe you plus interest. And they're going to say, yeah, they're going to tell you, Visa, no, I don't want your money. Or your bank, I don't want your money back. That's how crooked they are. What else we got, Willie?
Do you know if there's a poison pill in Finger to keep it
It can't
from?
be taken over. It won't be taken over.
It won't be taken over.
No. It could be, the only companies that would buy it would be a Chinese company. No one in the U.S. would, no one can take it over. They have to get permission from the Chinese government. Remember you said that? I think you were there when he said it. My friend asked that question. He says, no, it would have to be a, the only people that would buy it would be Alibaba, 10 cents would be a player like that.
The next
Which
one.
they would-
Yeah, go ahead.
Which they would welcome a big player like that taking off. So man, you get a stock transaction, with Alibaba or something like that. They would, whoever's in finger motion. Let me phrase it this way: whoever's the big insiders that own the stock that have ties to, they're helping this company around. If they do a deal, I'm sure it's going to be a monster transaction. Let's say the stock is 2. And it wasn't this crazy big short in here. And Alibaba wanted to buy this company, I'm sure Alibaba would pay $40 for it. You say, what, you're crazy? Well, Alibaba paying $40 for it is just taking money, giving it to people that they know are powerful people anyway, right?
Mhm.
I could see them overpaying for it for a reason.
David's driving his truck down to Florida with fresh water in the back.
There you go. There's a lot of good people in this country, it's worth fighting for. Vote for Trump. We get Pat Byrne. Pat Byrne makes us make money. For example, I helped that guy buy 1,000 shares of DJT. He made himself $900 something today. And you know what? $900 per day. Imagine making $900 a day 5 times a week. Right? Think about that. 20 times a month. Guy can live a nice life. He'll go to dinner. He'll buy cars. He'll send his kids to college. Whatever he has to do. If we don't have a fair, orderly market, you can't do that. The Chinese have cleaned up their market, getting rid of gold fraud. South Korea getting rid of frauds. India, Taiwan, what do you call it? Blank. Thailand, India, U.S. Now you just keep doing whatever you want to do. We want Jeff Easton to get richer so he can take money out of the U.S. and send it to Australia to his friend Hancock in Australia.
Barbara's dreaming of you in jammies.
I have little children's pajamas on. I have my Christmas pajamas on. Which my family makes fun of all the time. But they're baggy enough that I can lift it up and put ice on my knee. And by the way, I get the bandage off my knee today. I can actually see whether they glued it or stitched it. Yeah, I've stitched, as my son says, so. And I went from using a walker to a cane to hobbling around without anything today. If anyone's getting a knee surgery, it's 7 days of misery, but You know what? You move through it quickly.
Oh, God. Old Mold.
And listen,
Old Mold wants to know, why is the Finger dividend different than the GDI dividend? I want to know why Old Mold 23 is different from Old Mold 22.
all right, listen. Let me do it, William. I'll do it quick.
All right, you do
Jot
it.
it down. Whoever's asking the question, write it down and don't ask it again.
Yeah.
Finger motion is creating a whole new security. It's going to be the FNGR with the W behind it. The W means warrant. I don't know the exercise price, but it's going to be 10%, I heard. 10%. So if you have 1,000 shares, you're going to get 100 shares of this warrant. Let's say the warrant is exercisable at 3. That's the number we've been using. Okay? If the stock goes to 100, you pay the company, or you can sell your warrant at 3 and get the right to get stock at $3 a share. The company gets the money, you get the right to sell the stock, your 100 shares. The stock is 100 minus 3, you make 97 times your 100. So you make $9,700 for free. It's a gift. What makes it different is that it's going to be a separate entity, different stock. Okay, it's going to be trading. Finger motion, GTI was not trading. So the brokerage firms were just giving you a journal entry. So everyone who tried to convert or do anything with their free dividend, the brokerage firms were just making shit up. And how do I know it? I had people, when GTI gave out a dividend at $2.75, exercisable warrant, the stock went to 9. People were looking to convert it, some did. Sold their regular stock, sold their warrant stock and bought it back at $2.75. So imagine you sold stock at 9 and you bought it back at $2.75. You made $6 in your pocket, $6.25, right?
Mhm.
Many people, like my good friend who passed away, he called and tried to do it, and the brokerage firm told him that if you pay the $2.75 and get this stock warrant converted, we won't accept the stock back into your account. He's going to say, why? I had my account here for years. The brokerage firms did not have the warrant. So they use these little tricks to try to get people not to convert them. But this is going to be a publicly traded stock. It's going to be FNGRW. It's very different. A completely different security. Now, if you're short the stock, you're going to wake up one day and be 10% short more. 230 million means they're going to be short 23 million of those warrants. Now, the warrants are going to be traded. So imagine if you're short 23 million of these things. Who's looking to go sell their 100 warrants at $1? I don't think anybody I know. I know people that want to buy them because it's a free shot. Probably hasn't exercised probably 2 or 3 years. So you're gonna get a free shot and a free upside for 2 to 3 years. Are you gonna sell it? Imagine you sold it to make $500. You got to pay 40% tax on it. It's not even worth it. So these guys are going to be short these things, and they have to cover them back. Now the person that's short 1.5 million could be short 150,000 more, 10%. I don't think people want to just get short more of something over nothing. So I think the real short is going to try to cover us because he doesn't want the other headache. Imagine trying to buy it back. You just bought back 200,000 and you wave the wand and the thing's approved and you'll be short another 150,000 again. They want to get away from this. Shorts don't like to be short going into dividends. They owe the dividends. And that's the difference. GTI needed to get fundamentals into the company. Now it's coming. Let's see what happens when they get new things happen in this company. Wait for Richard Hoffman and you'll get your updates on that. I'm glad about the TLO on Fox Business News. I don't think the company said anything about it, so we'll see what happens there. I can't see it being negative. MLS, where's that doing? Same spot, 94, 96, doing nothing. You know, you got people. Everyone talks about the market ripping in the U.S. You know, they were taking stocks like MU up $15 yesterday, down 3 today. So they same stupid names all the time. It hasn't spread out to the names that we follow. Most people on this phone don't own 50,000 shares on Micron Technology. Number one, we know no one knows anything about their chips. It's very hard to figure it out. But they're hot. The reason their quarter was so great is because they were selling AI chips. How many people know about these type of things? We don't. Many people can figure out. They said on Fox that people don't have time to do research on stocks anymore, so they just kind of just go into these index funds. And I don't believe in that. I think people want to play the market. I think people want to understand it. Brokers want you to become managed money, meaning they want William to give his money to a broker and tell William, don't look at the stock market, William. I'll take care of it for you because I'll give it to my money manager and he'll put it into these funds and you'll make money. That's what Wall Street is about. But there's people saying, hey, I can make more money by myself. I don't need to give it to you so that you get paid a fee. The money manager makes a fee and I get less and less and less. That's the part of the market that we need to clean up. And Patrick Byrne knows we need to get the rules to be slanted in our favor or make it even, no more slanted for the shorts. That's what has to happen. Right now, the market is completely slanted one way. Imagine being able to sell all the shares you want every day. How's the stock going to go up if you keep selling it? Anybody else have any other questions? Remember, we're on a trading desk. Ask away.
Is Lynn Partners trying to communicate with Finger to convince them to make decisions that favor the shorts, just like what happened with GTII?
Is Lynn Partners calling up Finger Motion, telling them to?
Yeah. Are they manipulating management like they manipulated management in GTII?
Lynn Partners, I don't believe could get through to Finger Motion if they knocked on their door. All right, so that is a completely stupid question. And the company in GTII was, I think there was an old CEO that tried to do a lot of good things, but then eventually just got too old and couldn't do it anymore. So he's been removed. And I think that everything that's in place is still in place. Okay? And if the CEO did anything wrong, Richard Hoffman and the team of lawyers, the receiver, will take care of that, and it makes GTI stronger. So I don't believe that GTI basically was just a product of an old CEO. That was it. And Finger Motion is not taking any shit from Lynn Partners. They're trying to, Lynn Partners, so you understand, is trying to destroy Finger Motion. Not trying to build them up, trying to destroy them. If you're Finger Motion and you have 50 or 100 employees, how do you go back and tell them, hey, we're going to go help work with Lynn Partners? They say they're going to help us this time. There's no one going to say, you're going to say, get the hell out of it. You're going to kill all those families, investors, because of Lynn Partners? No way. So that's a stupid question. Next question. I don't mean to call you stupid, but that's, no one's helping the shorts. People that help the shorts.
Oh, this guy, Old Mold, he found the Seeking Alpha article informative. Well, you must have graduated, what, 3rd grade? Here, don't show your brain power out to the public. Amazing.
Listen,
I would never admit that I was an idiot, but I guess you don't mind.
Listen, go read the benchmark story. That came, they had no choice but to present the facts. The news is right there. Go read the press releases. Some idiot writing a story can manipulate and write anything he likes. I can write anything.
He's writing about earnings 2.5 months ago. I mean, there's got to be a reason. But it's good to know, Old Mold, that you're estupido. So now I'll just skip your,
Listen, there's no reason. Anyone who's writing a negative story on a stock that's $2 is doing it for one motive to short the stock. That's
Yeah.
it. He's doing it.
So why does Finger have so many call strike prices in January?
That was the ways for this. It's very interesting that January 15 calls, there's activity in it yesterday. It's there's ways the shorts can try to protect themselves by trying to buy calls, and I don't know who would sell it to them, but they, there's got to be a seller. But they put these strike prices out into January, and they go out further and further because if there was an interest in the options, if no one was requesting that they have options, the company has nothing to do with the option strikes or that they have options trading. It's the market makers that are doing the stuff. Right? So they do it to they can create short sales using options, but there's not enough activity for them to create this many shares. If you want to read about how options are used to make a short, go read about Patrick Byrne. He caught them doing it in Merrill Lynch and Goldman using options to create stock to short. Right? Remember, these guys have to protect themselves. So they use the options to hedge, and they use options both going up and going down.
I don't see any more detailed questions.
Well, like I said, I just wanted we touch base, we get it over with. It's 12 o'clock, it's Friday. You know everything. David Tepper is all in on China. We know someone that knows David Tepper, reaching out to him. We will get a chance to present from our side as investors, as people that I know that are on the brokerage side. We're going to reach out to David Tepper and present the finger motion case to him. All right? That's all we can do. The company will get introduced to David Tepper. If he wants to move forward, we'll just pass him on and have the company reach out to them. We have nothing to do with that. I'm not a broker. I don't get any commission from it. So we'll let them do it. We're here to expose an opportunity to David Tepper. Besides the fundamentals, we're here to expose him the insane naked short position in it and how he can profit from it. Because everyone's here to do one thing, make money. And David Tepper is going to lick his chops when he hears the story on this. He says, go all in on China, read the news. The company, all they do is China. Matter of fact, they have a big contract from the Chinese government. You can't get any more China than finger motion is. All right, it's right there. We have the short, Lynn Partners. We all know why they're here. Lynn Partners signs the deals. We won't short the stock, but they have somebody else doing it offshore. We all know that they brought their cousin, their mother, their brother, who's the real short. They need to cover. All right, remember they're short at an average price around $250. And each day that price goes down because they have to pay the cost to carry. As an investor, just think about if you're the short seller saying, why am I short this stock at $250? And each day I have to pay to sit here and watch it do nothing. So that's the decision that real short has to make. I've dealt with real shorts before, and at some point they say, this is a stupid trade. Let me get out of it. I don't care if I win, lose, let me get away from this thing. And they would say, buy it, cover it. These guys know that if they cover the real short, it's going to ignite the naked short. Or the naked short has to plug all those shares over to the real short. All right? So the stock was 220 bid winning, they dropped it to 217, and they dropped it down 3 cents. And all right away, someone prints a small amount of shares at 217 to give the negative opinion, the negative appearance that the stock is going down. So again, why do they keep selling it lower? That's their business. I told you, who wants less? Only a naked short. And as you can see, there's always 200 shares, 300 shares to buy, and there's always more shares to sell. It's like the game of Risk. I don't know if you ever played that game, William, Risk. You ever play that game growing up?
I did.
And everyone,
I never started a ground war in Asia.
You would have 2 armies versus 10 armies, and you throw the dice, and you would get to throw 2 dice while they throw 6 dice, and you had to fight these crazy odds to win. That's the mentality they're trying to show you here. That we have more troops than you do, And then they come down, they offer from 221, let's offer 5,200 at 220. Let's try to offer it lower, right? We don't want to sell at 221. Let's offer it at 220. And next thing you'll see them offer it at 218, 219 for 100 shares because they'll run in front of the 220 offer. If they wanted to sell it, why didn't they put it out there at 220 before? But they don't want to sell it. They're just trying to spoof, trying to get someone to run in front of them. When they see the buying drop off, they come and offer it, trying to mark it down. You don't see that same activity in K&W. The company's worth pennies. It's 29 to 29, and it doesn't even trade. 29 cents, by the way. It doesn't even trade. How come there's no activity, no market makers moving there? Why? Because they all know it's the shorts by the shorts in that name. And they want people to buy that stock. In finger motion, they need people to sell. And that's why you see this stupid manipulation all day long. And that's why we stay on the call to bring it to your attention, because we want people to see. I think they just crossed 4,000 at 217. They want people to panic. That's all they want you to do. But panic. David Tepper just told you, get all in China. China. Well, finger motion is China. I don't see what the panic is anymore. And the longer we go on, the better it is. Anyway, listen, everyone. I give you my best. I gave you everything I can this whole week. The information, David Tepper, just go read about him. David Tepper, Tepper. If you're a short seller, you better call up David Tepper and say, don't take the calls about finger motion. They're a fraud. You better make that call. Keep calling them up because we're gonna get that. We're gonna get that at bat whether you like it or not. All right. And don't forget, Worth Capital company. Had conversations with Worth Capital about a research report. I told you I have people who work there, and they said keep an eye on the data numbers. Right. Big data. They said to keep an eye on. So that's what my friend told me. Okay, and he works at Worth Capital. I told you it was on their calendar. I told you a long time ago. I didn't want to say anything because I wanted the meeting to happen before Jeff Easton calls up and say, I'm not doing business with you. Not that they care. They know all about him there. Anyway, I tried to recap as much as I can. Just read the news releases, go through the company's website, do your homework, and then think about what you're looking at here. And make believe you're the real short. Why would I stay short a stock that doesn't do anything? No one does a trade like that. Just like you on the long side. After a while, you sit in the stock for a year. You say, the stock's not doing anything. Let me sell it. Take my capital. Well, there you go. They dropped to 218, just like I said in clockwork. So the guy who wants to sell 5,400 at 220, he's not making a sale. The short just skipped 219 and dropped it to 218. Then you're trying to manipulate it back down. Have you guys have seen this pattern before? I sound like a broken record because they do it 40 times a day doing this. Right, William?
Yeah.
It's the short cha-cha. Hurry up, let's manipulate it, move it down a couple of pennies, because when it goes up 8 cents on 200 million shares is a lot of bananas that we're out. And that's what they're definitely afraid of. So they're offering 1,200 shares, so it's 1,000. So you're talking about what? $3,000 worth of stock? Trying to hold the stock down? That's what they're trying to do. 1,200 times whatever, 218. Printing more shares. Where did they get the shares from? Some people ask me all the time. I says counterfeiting. Take a piece of white paper, go to your printer, and just go make a copy of a $100 bill. And you counterfeit it. There you go. Welcome to the world of counterfeiting. That's what these guys are doing. They do pay off foreign brokers. They pay fees to brokers. They do everything they can to get a network of people to help them out. And that's why I keep trying to tell Jeff Easton, when the shit hits the fan, they're going to look at your phone records, your brokers, your wire transfers, your trades, everything. Spoofing, the watching, all that stuff comes to light. It doesn't go away. So So for these guys thinking that all this history, everything they've done, whether they get a new scam to hide a new finger motion, but RWLK, SYTA, JNW, you know they made mistakes over the years. You know Andrew Left is going to trial. You know Andrew Left is giving up everybody. I showed you that Andrew at Anson Fund was doing the same deals as Hal Mintz and Jeff Easton. Birds of a feather, they all flock together. I'm sure that they all called Andrew Left up and tried to get him to write a negative story on whatever stocks they're short. Listen, if I was a naked short, I would call Andrew Left. Hey, Andrew, I'll give you $100,000. Do me a favor. I'm short 6 million shares of XYZ. Beat the shit out of it. Right? What's the difference? I'll make 10 million. I'll give Andrew Left a couple $100,000 in cash, and I'll see you later. That's the short and the short game. That's how they work, people. And they're here to steal your money, and that's what we're help fighting back on. I know some people say, why are you here? What are you doing? Like, the idiot that just said we read the report, we found it useful. Whatever, Molehead, whatever his name is, right?
All right.
They pop up. Listen, when you're over the target is when you get the most flack, right? That's all you need to know. We're over the target. Jeff Easton knows we're over it. He's stuck in the mud. He doesn't know what to do. We reported it to the FBI, the DOJ, the SEC. In 27 days, starting on Monday, Pat Byrne will be in charge. That's all you need to know. And you will rip their heads off. Pat Byrne spent a lot of time educating people about naked short selling. He was very open about how he did everything. His last hurrah overstock was squeezing the shorts by issuing a dividend. Okay, this is how you fight back. Companies that don't fight back and don't issue the dividends, we're on it now, right? GNS in the toilet, MULN in the toilet, CELU got wiped out, SYTA got wiped out. You name it, that's what you see. My friend just texted me, bought 2,000 at 218 before. People keep adding a little bit here, a little bit there, and just keep, as the stock turns, they keep adding until it breaks on the upside. That's how it works. All right, William, I'm gonna go get lunch.
Great.
Go on the bicycle. I gotta do my bicycle, and everyone, if I see anything good, I'll reach out to William. We'll go live again.
Everybody,
William, go have a nice lunch. All right, don't get involved in working with. Everyone had a good feel what's going on. If you're down and out, go read about David Tepper, what he says about China. We're in the right spot. The only thing holding this back is manipulation, and it's coming to an end. That's it. Manipulation is why stocks don't move. We don't hold them down. I can't manipulate the stocks. William can't do it. I welcome anyone to come follow the sell tickets. They're not coming back from me. I can tell you that. Who's doing all the selling? It's the idiots that come on these lines that tell you that the stock is going lower, this, that, and the other thing, because they're paid bashes. It's been as old as most of us here. If you go back to the Raging Bull, go read the Bashes Handbook. Anybody wants to have fun? The Bashes Handbook. Google it. You can see all the things that we say. Just go read how they work. Right? We're reading the information that's on the tape. Right? David Tepper is saying go long China. Someone is trying to sell China. Someone is trying to sell China. He's trying to sell finger motion. That's his attempt on shorting China. Is selling finger motion at $2.20. That is the stupidest trade in creation. No one would ever allow that. It's a fraudulent trade, and it's not worth the money. No one would risk selling stock at $2 to buy it back at $200. They did that in GameStop. How'd that work out? Billions were lost. The company raised $5 billion. You guys don't understand what billions mean. Billions is a lot of money. Billions were lost in GameStop. Billions. What? 10, $20 billion the damage. And it's still costing the shorts because they're still buying stock from the company at $20. The company raised $5 billion more. So think of the damage. And these guys, everyone knows the going on here, but they can't cover because they're fucked. That's the only reason they haven't covered. But we're gonna force them to cover. Anyway, William, listen, have a great day, everybody. I'm gonna do my shit, and
Wash your hands afterward.
we're gonna continue to update you on what we are reaching out to Tepper. We'll keep you up on it, and we will get in back there. The company's doing everything they have to do, and you just move along down the road. David Tepper just gave you the green light. That's what I look at it. You want to buy China? Go find your China play. That's what he told you. Go find it. I think I found it. The company does everything in China. Everything is done in China. And actually working with the Chinese government. Pretty good. Anyway, William, go take a break. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Call ended.
All right, everyone. I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to go get lunch and run a couple of errands, and I've got 2 or 3 phone calls to make. Thank you for joining. If you need real investment advice that's thoughtful, designed just for you, and is with your concerns in mind, go to Old Mold's website. He's an extraordinarily intelligent man, and he has your best interests in mind. Over the weekend, if you can stand to do it, just start thinking about. Now, you don't have to do it all now, but I think you should do some now. And I'll try to do a video or 2. But all these stocks we talk about, everything we talk about, we're running out of time for silver. I think silver is going to triple by January. So I it'll be volatile. It's the most volatile of things, but I think it's going to break out, and just like you to have a position before it does. And yeah, thank you, Scott and Barbara. Lucky is doing all right. I want to call up TLO, hits a new low, and see if I can get into their life elongating protocol for Lucky. But we have very long walks. They take an hour to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. Sometimes we go 7, 8, 9 blocks, but that's it. It takes an hour. But he loves it, so I go along with him. He's been a faithful and wonderful companion, so I think he's at the point that some owners would just take him in for the final goodbye, but I'm not going to do that. He sleeps mostly, but he gets so excited when I give him treats. That's what his life's about, treats, and he doesn't really care about people. Sometimes other dogs, sometimes, but mostly it's about going out, smelling the bushes, and treats. But he's been a good boy. I don't know, Michelle, why you bring it up, but I guess you might as well. Do you own that stock? I do. I own it. I don't know anything going on there. Let me just recount to you, though, Michelle. 2 years ago, might have been actually now that might have been 3 years ago. But Logic was I don't know, a 70-cent stock, 80-cent stock. I think I even bought some over $1. And in December, I think of 2 years ago, they distributed GoLogic as a dividend. It still doesn't trade. They have basically Brent's son as the CEO of Logic. Well, as the criminals continued to crush things, Brent made a couple, I would argue that he had some learning lessons. He worked extremely hard, but he had, about 4 years ago, signed a deal with the Neo exchange, and he sought out raising capital from 3 or 4 fronts, liars, but they call themselves I don't know what they call themselves, venture capital firms, fundraisers, banks. But he did an offering at $3 a share. That just got destroyed. From the moment it started, it got destroyed. The Neo exchange is a fraud, much the way the NASDAQ exchange is a fraud under the current management. And so the stock got destroyed for a prolonged period of time and got under, I'm doing it by memory, under $1, somewhere around $1. He went to a group called Ionic Ventures. Ionic swears, in fact, I got a letter from their attorney that they never short. All Ionic Ventures does is short stocks, but they do it during the day. It's still illegal. And Logic's shares continue to go down. The apologists from the American Stock Exchange say, "Oh, they're good clients. It's just algorithms. It's all okay. Systems in place." Like a complete idiot. It's right in front of his eyes. I say it respectfully. He's honest, hardworking, but he just can't accept what's in front of him because it means his entire career was a waste of time. I don't believe it was, but that's, I think, his defense mechanism. So anyway, Logic got into the 80-cent range, and Brent's working hard all the time, putting deals together, bringing companies in. He brought great assets in. There was one asset that came in, Rebel Yell or something, with a tremendous sales, for example. And he was dividing assets into Africa and Southeast Asia and fintech and all this. But at the core of it, Wall Street, Canada, is complete fraud. And they just kept selling the stock. Every time he built something up, he went to the so-called honest men and women on Wall Street and just gets destroyed. Well, then finally, Logic went to do a deal, what do you call it, a SPAC deal, run by Chadron Financial and some other group out of Canada, Detroit. I can't remember the name. I'm having a Biden moment. Aubrey Advisors. And they set the company up to fail. They set Brent up to fail. They left the company with zero money. They left collective audience with zero money. They paid the lawyers $2.5 million. Who do you think the lawyer's side is on? Where does the lawyer's advice go? The lawyers are all corrupt. Well, anyway, Brent divided Logic into 3 years, Logic and GoLogic. Okay. Then he had to fight and fight and fight. He's got amazing reserves of integrity and fight. But he always listens to the liars. He's stopped now. He no longer listens to the liars. But it took him 3 smacks upside the head with a 2x4. And the liars are Aubrey Advisors, in my judgment, Chadron Advisors, Polar, and the list is legion. But anyway, they divided Logic into Logic and GoLogic. GoLogic had Southeast Asia, it had fintech, it had big assets out of Australia, it had some asset out of the Middle East. Logic had mostly the United States. Wall Street is a slaughterhouse. The over-the-counter markets, as they are currently set up, is a slaughterhouse. The NASDAQ is a slaughterhouse. Well, they just destroyed these. Now, there's going to be a fight back, and there is a fight back, and there is a way to make your company safe. The key is do not do business with Lynn Partners. Do not do business with Yorkville Advisors. Do not do business with Ionic Ventures, and so on and so on. But most CEOs don't have the defense mechanisms. It's right there written. They don't want to believe what they're reading. You just stay away from the toxic notes. There is a way to fight back, and I'll try to show you how to do it. So anyway, you come into last year, Brent's time was taken up with Logic in the SPAC and the liars at Aubrey, the liars at Chadron, and the attorney liars, and the completely corrupt Polar hedge fund. And guess what happens? They did a deal in the summer, gets destroyed. I got on here, I was furious. I said the stock's going below $1. Oh, no. Systems in place. It's just an algorithm. They have this and that. I said, dude, there's no systems in place other than the corrupt ones. So anyway, Michelle, you come around the end of the year. You've heard it all before. Logic, no money. They're gonna do reverse merger, but then their financial reporting was not completed. As soon as it gets into the first quarter, they got to do fourth quarter and the entire last year. That requires money. It requires auditors. It requires time. The companies that were going to go in walk away. You've got to then get through the first quarter. You've got to do that reporting. You bring in new companies. Very valuable story. Logic has now, as they've said on the public news, you don't want to believe it, it's been released, 6 or 7 companies in the medical technology space, over 750 million. Why is the stock still down? Because they're still shorting it, and they still short it. There are no systems in place. Real shorts, criminal shorts, Aubrey Advisors clients, probably Aubrey Advisors themselves, Chadron, they're all selling. No one gives a flying festival. So what's Brent's time tied up with, Michelle? What's Brent's time tied up with? Making sure that Logic gets these 7 companies under LOI. Does Brent have time to work on the stock you mentioned? He worked hard with the SPACers, the criminals at Chadron Advisors, Aubrey SPAC, and Polar to disastrous results. But he hung in there. He made sure that Collective Audience was handed off to a tremendous team. My respect for Peter Bordes goes up, up, up. They tried to blackmail Peter Bordes and say, you've got to do a reverse split to stay on NASDAQ. He said, he told him, your mama. We'll just go over to the OTC markets and we'll make it work. But that took Brent's time. No money. No money. One CEO. One CEO for Logic, the stock you mentioned, and the D-SPAC collective audience. And as you recall, but I know you're busy. You have a life. But if you look back in the records, there was a company that they decided to do a reverse. Well, they decided to put their assets into in a reverse merger. That company is called recruiter.com. That whole process is taking time. So you've got collective audience, you've got the SEC, you've got recruiter.com, you've got Logic, you've got multiple, I'd say screening 40 to 50 companies that want a reverse merger. And now you've got 7 you've got to get into Logic. I just want to ask you, Michelle, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Now, you're going to say, well, obviously the stock price is down. There's got to be something wrong. I check my brains at the door. I've learned through GME, AMC, MMAT, MULN, GTII, endless number of names. I've learned now that Wall Street just creates toxic notes, then they short the stock into oblivion because Gary Gensler does not enforce settlement. I know that it benefits Goldman Sachs, where Gary Gensler gets the majority of his wealth. The rest he gets from Hillary Clinton. But I'm going to look at the stock price and I'm going to say to myself, oh, not in this case. There must be something wrong with it. Well, what's wrong with these shells? They're all shells. Logic's a shell. GTII's a shell. I don't know what's happening, but the recruiter.com became a shell. They're all bloody shells. And Wall Street preys on them, and they prey on retail. And there's no enforcement of the laws, no enforcement of security rules, none. Anyway, I would submit to you there's nothing going on. But if you want to believe it's somehow going to go to zero, sell. If you think logically and think, okay, so it's taken a long time. Well, it shouldn't take so long. It shouldn't take so long. Everything takes so long. The SEC it's longer than dealing with the World Bank because Gary Gensler is not focused on over-the-counter or NASDAQ or settlement. Gary Gensler is focused on the big new revenue stream for Goldman Sachs coins. Let's leave our logic aside. Let's just say, oh, okay, it's going to go, it's going to be worthless. Working on the GTII thing, I got familiar with a gentleman who does shells. They're very expensive. Logic is keeping 15% of every deal worth $800 million. All right, it says over 750 million. Why? Because of the name Logic? Because of the management that's all going to retire once the medical companies come in? No, because it is a reporting clean shell. I'll let you figure out what's going to happen to the company you have mentioned. one thing to remember about coming into the end of the year in any of these stocks is tax loss season comes in. Yeah, I don't know. I have to look up. I don't know where to look quickly, but I want to say it might have been 2020 when GoLogic was spun off. To my memory, share for share from Logic. I'd have to look it up. They did it in December. It was Lovero. Remember that? It was Lovero. And then they changed the name. But these are all things that managements have to do to fight guys like Old Mold. Old Mold is here just to steal from you. That's all he's here for. And he's proud of it. And he happens to be an idiot. But he's proud of that too. So he was blessed when he was born. Anyway, this is true. Gary is right about MMTLP. I was listening to the call with Junk Savvy this morning, and there looks to be some real issues at Fidelity. I don't know how, unless the banks own the whole government and they corrupt Hillary Clinton, they corrupt Joe Biden, they corrupt Gary Gensler. The banks do. And they corrupt Dan Wagner. I don't know how it's possible, but apparently Fidelity put out tax reporting to you as an MMTLP holder that they distributed a value to you in Nextbridge shares. Well, they didn't. Not unless you moved your shares over to AST, Equinity, or whatever the hell it is, to the transfer agent. All you have is an IOU. It's all fraud. It's all fraud. It's just like the billions and billions of dollars we send on behalf of the weapons makers into Zelensky, who is a fraud, and that money comes back. We pay off Joe Biden's son to be on the board of Burisma, and Joe Biden goes as vice president and tells the government of Ukraine, if you want more aid, bail my son's ass out. But we don't care because we hate Trump, right? Trump is a disaster. So let's keep voting for this corruption. It's working out for everyone. If we just close our eyes, the corrupt system will just keep on sail on down the line, out a mile or so. Friends tell me something. I was wishful thinking, but I don't mind. Anyway, if we just block our heads, everything's going to be great. And the media that Bill Clinton signed the law to consolidate so that the banks control it, we can trust them. The 6 outlets controlled by BlackRock. Oh, and we'll believe it. So more of the tax dollars, more dollars printed, go to the Ukraine, go to the Middle East, and jerk from Israel comes into the UN and tells the entire UN it's a cesspool of anti-Semites. You point one finger at me, 3 fingers point back at you. Maybe it's time for Netanyahu to look in the mirror and realize where the problem is. The lying, corrupt criminal. The war criminal, but also a political corrupt criminal that is Netanyahu. But hey, the media says it's okay. Bill Clinton is great. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. He's wonderful. let's just keep this going. Guys, it's going to crash. And if you don't do something to get out of the way, you're going down too. My number one thing right now, establish a position in silver while it's cheap. By the end of the year, silver will be $60, $80, $90. It'll come back next year, but never under $30 again. And you got to move your MMTLP to Nextbridge. I cannot stand the corruption, but that's where we are. I think MMTLP is worthless, and I think there will be no settlement in MMTLP ever. But if there is one, it's going to be small. Now, I used to think it was going to be big, but they've bought 2 years, and the gates have been open for 2 years to move your shares. And the argument from the other side is going to be, Your Honor, my client contends that plaintiff's client had 2 years to move their shares, and we stood ready to take them on, but we can't have unlimited risk, and we shut the window. They abandoned their asset. That's going to be one argument. The other argument is, look at what the offering is from Roth Capital. I don't know where it's going to be priced. I hope it's $10, $12, but it could be half of that. And Your Honor, that's when Roth Capital priced it here in October after they drilled 23 wells. So back in at the time, plaintiff's client invested, it was worth less than that. So we're going to make a de minimis offer of settlement, and it's probably going to win. So if you're still in MMTLP hoping for some out of the moon settlement, I think you just gotta move. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I was somebody that thought early on it was going to happen, but they've taken all the surprise out. They've changed your motives in front of Congress to ones of greed and speculation, which is what they do. Anyway, move your shares. Move your shares. All right, I'm going to sign off. Peace on this planet. Pray for peace. Pray for the children. If you can't stand the adults, at least pray for the children. There's no reason we should go to war with Russia. Hillary Clinton lost the election. There was no Russian interference. Russia was going to join NATO. We lied to Russia. Russia should be our cooperating, maybe competitor, but trade partner. There's no need to go to war with Russia. But you're listening because Hillary lost her election, and she's a neocon. There's no reason to go to war in the Middle East. The Abraham Accords would have worked, but Joe Biden ripped that up. I'm not going to go to the suspicions that some people have brought out. What happened a year ago was horrific. But hey, eye for an eye. The Israelis' own newspapers say that Israeli soldiers might be responsible for half those deaths. But hey, let's get rid of that. Let's just say they were doing their job. So you got 1,700 people killed atrociously. Well, by some estimates, 300,000 have been killed in Gaza Strip. And now let's go after Lebanon. Gaza Strip is rubble now. And if you can't see it, I'm sorry. But certain people in Israel, right-wing criminals like Netanyahu, from the river to the sea. And hey, I'm not a biblical scholar. Maybe that is what God promised Netanyahu and the people that have moved to Israel from Brooklyn and from Russia and from other parts of the world. I don't know. All I know is if this proceeds much further, our interests in the Middle East are going to be disrupted. We are going to be at war with Iran, which is what Victoria Nuland wants, and at war with Russia simultaneously. It is insane. But hey, I'll go with it. I'm sure we'll have the fairest elections in the history of the world. And we'll go with Kamala and her wisdom. And we'll go to war, see what happens. But the effect it's going to have on you, if we survive this, is you need to think out for your family, your friends, your financial independence. You have to protect yourself. You just have to. You're not going to vote for Trump. You're going to vote for Kamala. She's a woman. Hear me roar. In numbers too great to ignore. I just hope the missiles don't come in numbers too great to ignore. I hope there's one and we ignore it, or two and we ignore it. But we're going pell-mell toward war without a plan to escape it. You know what it reminds me of? 1914. Is there any war out there that you'd like to become a member of? Any war? The Civil War? Anyway, I'm depressing myself. All right, I'll see you next week.